I used to go to church as a child, I guess. Mostly before I can recall of age. My mom used to teach Sunday school, just over here in West Park, actually. But again, I don't have a lot of recollection of it because it was my earlier years before I kind of remembered too much. And then my family gave us the choice, basically, whether we wanted to go or not, and it was decided that we didn't want to. And the only experiences I have beyond that, I guess, would be when I went to visit my family. They are Catholics, and we would go with them to church on Sundays, but it was, I don't know, as a kid, I guess it was more of a, we were forced to go with them and didn't really want to go, but it was, again, it was a different opinion because we were children. That's kind of it. The only churches now that I go in are typically for weddings or funerals, and that's about it.
So what was it like when you went in? Like when you went in, what was the experience you had as a kid?
Well, as a kid, you'd rather be outside playing or something like that, so it was kind of tough as a child. And like the Catholic, it wasn't even per se my religion, so that one was kind of different too. It was kind of like an outsider in someone else's church, and they did communion and everything. I obviously wasn't a part of that, because I wasn't Catholic, but it was, I don't know, it was, for a kid, it wasn't a fun place to be. It wasn't really a great atmosphere, I guess, I suppose. And I guess I did try going to church again about 10 years ago just to see. And same thing, it was kind of, I found it stuffy, just kind of dry. Everyone seemed to know what was going on there. Again, being a bit of an outsider, I guess I wasn't too familiar with the whole, how everything worked and everyone talking in unison, and it was kind of, boring for me, I guess, but again, that was just my opinion.
Cool. Thanks. And how about for yourself?
We, growing up, never went to church except for weddings and funerals, and I don't even recall really religion ever coming up as a topic. So I don't know very much except from the bits that people have talked about. So
Cool. So you, actually stepping into a church building was sort of like, you didn't really have that experience.
yeah, not to just go watch a service. I've never
Okay.
gone just to watch a service. I've never really even thought of stepping in to see what it would be like.
Sure. So, so what's your concept then of what happens at church, or like?
There's a person up at the front speaking, and just based on like what people heard, telling like even just life experiences, trying to relate it to what they're trying to teach the people in the congregation and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I guess the speaking in unison and the hymns and all that.
Sure. So what would be the thing that would, like when you think about church and you think about it being either a fun or not fun place, what are the things that make it seem like a place that you probably don't want to be there or want to be there? What are the draws and the draws and the repellents, I guess?
The repellents for me would completely be the age basis of the churches I've been into. It seems that the older elderly people that have been raised that way seem to, for some reason, get more out of it. Possibly that's the way it's always been for them. The last time I was in a church, like I say, look around, anyone my age and younger just looked kind of bored and didn't really know what was going on, but the elderly people seem to, they're the ones all dressed up really fancy and take it a lot more seriously. And I guess you're more into that side of it, I suppose, but my idea that would be more of a draw is, I don't know, when you watch movies, I guess, and you see the churches down south in the States and stuff where they're singing and dancing, and it just looks a lot more inviting and friendly, and not so much a place where a bunch of elderly people join together and read from the Bible and kind of, yeah, I guess that's
Cool.
good for me.
I think a draw would be a lot of, at least the people like up in Coal Lake, they seem to have a lot of camaraderie with each other and do a lot for the community as groups and doing stuff like that together. the only thing I have a hard time with when it comes to church is when they're in church, people act one way, and then when they're out, they don't always act how they preach about how you should act, so they contradict themselves quite a bit.
Okay.
So that part bothers me, I think, the most.
Yeah, that's a good question too. So what's your concept then of Christians?
Yeah, that's tough. That's the concept of Christians. What they should be if they were being Christians would be to be following everything that they do talk about and stuff that they believe in, as opposed to acting no different than anybody else and then just going to church on Sundays. Like we know a lot of Christians in our community that they say they're kind of against the fact that we ourselves don't go to church, and they're always trying to talk you into going to church, but when you question them on it, they don't know much about being Christian even themselves. Like, it's just a lot of them are the way they were raised kind of thing, and they were forced to go to church their whole lives, and yeah, they don't have any answers or anything, and they're one way when they go to church. They dress up and they're all polite and they're all friendly and they're all nice, and afterwards they're back to who they really are, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with.
Yeah, really.
What? Yeah.
So if they were living according to what they were teaching, what would that person be like then? Or according to the teachings of who they are on Sunday?
I think they'd just be all around nicer
Humble.
people and humble people for sure.
Not judgmental, because a lot of them I find are more judgmental than people who don't go, because it's like they're basing their opinions on everyone on a higher level that people have to reach when even they're not reaching it.
Yeah, I believe the same thing. Like, a lot of people that put on their Sunday best and don't swear and act all prim and proper, and wouldn't admit they were maybe out having drinks the night before. But that's really who they are, other than for that few hours on Sunday, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.